Tarrentino News coming at you live from Universal headquarters. This is a beautiful day. In my world, this is the first day of the year. First day of the year because we had winter solstice yesterday. Winter solstice, it could be categorized as day zero because that's the darkest day of the year. So this is day one. We get a little brighter and a little brighter and a little brighter all the way until we get to summer solstice, which is around June the 21st. So we'll have a little bit more daylight each and every day from December 22nd all the way until June 21st. So let's make the most of the daylight that we have. Let's make the most of the sunshine that the earth will bring us during this particular time of the year. Increasingly and incrementally, more and more each and every day for roughly the next 6 months. And today, we just had to discuss a few things because, I hear a lot of talk about culture and things of that nature, but a lot of our activities do not substantiate the culture that we say that we live in. I've heard in New York City, people call each other gods. And I've heard in the South, in the Midwest, even on the West Coast, people, men and women refer to themselves as kings and queens. So if we're going to refer to ourselves as kings and queens, if we're going to refer to ourselves as gods, then it should be a certain culture that should align with the things that we say we encompass. If we consider ourselves godly, if we consider ourselves majestic, if we consider ourselves imperial or exalted, then there should be some things that accompany that approach to life. Similar, like if you're a god, where are your robes? I see a lot of backing of flashy clothes. They call it meretricious. Vocabulary word for the day would be meretricious. But, flashy clothes, designer gear, but I don't see a lot of robes. If you're imperial, if you living a certain life, then where is your robe? Your robe. Robes over Western wear. We're still embracing a lot of Western wear, but we categorize ourselves as people that are not from the Western culture. Gods, that's not a part of the Western culture. The Western culture, you wear your uniform. What's your job? I'm a postman. You wear a postman's uniform and things of that nature. You ever seen a Dave Chappelle skit? He's got a uniform for just about everything. And if we're embracing that culture, then that's the way that we dress. So we show through the way we dress one culture, and then we speak another culture through the way that we talk. So it's not aligning all the way. So get you a robe if you really saying that you're a god, if you're saying you're a king. Show me. I hear people say they pray to God all the time. But if you ever read your Bible, God is pretty much centrally located in one place. He's always located on his throne. So get you a throne. Get you a throne. I saw Gilbert Arenas on a TV show, and the producer told me, he said, hey, man, he looks like a baby in that chair. So if you don't have a chair that's so huge that you look like a baby in it, then you're not a god, you're not a king, you're not a queen. You're just another imposter. You're a person that's saying you want to be something, but you still haven't gotten all the prerequisite materials to promote yourself in that fashion. So we have robes as opposed to Western wear, and we have thrones as opposed to seats. We have slippers as opposed to shoes. When you're grinding, you might get you a pair of Timberland boots. You might have your boots. You might have your work shoes or your work boots. Kick around shoes, like they call in my neighborhood, grass cutters. Something I can mow the grass with. But do you have slippers? Now, Why would you accustom yourself with such garments? It's easy. So you can sit your ass down somewhere. You know, if you got a robe, you're not gonna be very quick to jump in the whip and smash out. You'll think twice before you make a lot of moves, because we still want to be seen. We still want to promote ourselves in a certain way. We want to still project ourselves in a certain light when it comes to others. But a god, a queen, a king, there's a more settled creature. You know, they have nothing else to prove. They've already reached the summit of all things. So you're gonna have to climb the mountain to get to them. They're not gonna be able to be seen without you searching for them. You know, we too easily seen, and not only are we too easily seen, we desire to be seen way too much. If you could think about God again, God is a entity that people have been praying to and referring to since, they say, the beginning. But if you ever look at how many people actually saw God, you can count them all on your fingers and toes. Okay. So with God being the all in all, look how rarely he is spotted. So if we're going to say we're kings and queens and we're gods, then why are we so quick to be seen? Why are we so quick to thrust ourselves into the public eye? You know, we just have to be mindful. You know, popular people in our popular culture brag about what kind of cars they drive. So I'm already saying, if we're bragging about what kind of cars we drive, then Calvin Candy is still ahead of us by 200 years. Because if you can remember Django, he pointed up to the front and said, take me for a ride in the Victorian. You know, he's not driving anything. He's in the carriage. So, you know, get you a driver if you're going to be a boss, a king, a queen, or a god. You know, you want to push your own whip. You want to say you made it on your own, and now all you want to do is push a two-seater. That's just a ridiculous thinking process for a human being that will categorize themselves as a king, queen, or a god. A god, a king, or a queen has to have staff, has to have people with them, because kings and queens don't even tie their own shoes. So you're not going to be able to go solo. You're not going to be able to get a two-seater. You're not going to be able to throw on your work boots and roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. You're going to have patience. You're going to have to wait until your court is assembled. If you ever paid attention to the president-elect Joe Biden, they made it very plain. You've been elected president. You'll be the very next president. Now, what's the first question they ask? Where is your team? You know, who are the people? You the president, you in charge, but who's in charge of these particular matters? And then they'll give him 100 people to pick for a cabinet. You know, so he has to assemble people so that he can remain stately, so he can remain exalted, so he doesn't have to get his hands too dirty, you know. And this is in a democratic society. Kings and queens, that's more of a monarchy. And, you know, anything that has to do with religion, that goes to another level. So if we esteem ourselves higher than the democratic process, then we definitely have to start treating ourselves as such. There's a very big schism between how we project ourselves and the way that we behave. We project ourselves in a very gaudy fashion, but we still behave in a subservient fashion. You know, we don't have anything else to prove. If you rap that lyric and you say, I'm a god, or I'm a king, or all my kids are kings and queens, then start living like that. You know, don't promote a lifestyle that you really don't want to endorse. You know, it's okay to be, like we said before, subservient. It's okay to be a worker, because you can work and make $1 billion working. But don't make a whole bunch of money and then think you're a king and queen and all you want to do is keep grinding, get this paper, keep hustling and all this. At a certain point, you hadn't made enough money to buy you an estate, buy you a throne, buy you a carriage, and take it easy every day. Because somehow, some way, we missed that when God made this earth or this world in that 7-day creation story, that 7th day he rested and everything's been in place ever since. We always want to, on to the next one is our type of mentality. But there's nothing else to go on to once you have everything established. And we can do it in a lot quicker fashion than we think if we stop attempting to prove a point to the world. The world will never understand the points that we're trying to make because the world is worldly. And kings and queens and gods, they're spiritual. So it's oil and water, they don't mix. Today, we have a great person in the studio for a few on-site logistics. And we won't bring him on today, but we're just so happy he's here. GP, Mr. Magnolia, AKA Mr. Magnolia. And please, don't disrespect and get your head knocked off your shoulders. This is a rapper that's been rapping for, at the very least, 35 years continuously. Tracks on wax, dating back 35 years. So there's nothing else to be said about a person like that. These are very soulful tracks. I was listening to a few tracks from Mr. Magnolia this morning, and they touched me because I could feel how real the tracks were. I listened to some of the latest tracks. I listened to some of the greatest tracks. I listened to some of the freestyles, and I've been uplifted today. So you may have never heard of Mr. Magnolia. You may have never heard of GP. So what's the point that I'm attempting to make? Do you. Always do you. If you're doing something that you find passionate, that you're passionate about, no matter the acclaim you may receive, no matter how many pats on the backs you get or how many kicks in the butt you receive, continue to do what fuels and drives you. I've been listening to Mr. Magnolia for pretty close to 35 years. And I've been supporting Mr. Magnolia for just about that long in terms of like what you're doing, man, But if you keep a certain heart, certain times, what you make and the vibe that you portray, it was not acceptable to everybody. It's, for instance, if you have a talent and you say, this talent can save the world. Let's make it relevant to today. I have the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, that's the truth. I do have the COVID-19 vaccine. I have it in my possession. But my name is not PF Pfizer. My name is not Moderna. And my name is not Johnson & Johnson. So the true COVID-19 vaccine, you may never receive it because what I have is not to be distributed to everyone in the world, to everyone on the globe, because everybody doesn't have the heart to receive what I have. So, if you actually one day strive to do the very best that you can, and you put your very best foot forward, you may see that what you're presenting is not for everyone. So in that moment, will you sacrifice your creativity? Will you sacrifice your true self for public notoriety? I say, well, I can make me another $1 million. And I said, I can make $1 million. I know the vaccine making a lot more than that, but I'm just saying me, because if I made a decision to give out the vaccine, $1 million check is enough for me to say, I don't care how much money they make off of it. So if I can make $1 million just by giving this vaccine to the right person, but I know how it's going to be used, And I say, well, I just rather keep it to myself. And the few homies that I have and the few loved ones that I have and the few people I might see at the corner store that's got a good heart, and they need a blessing, I share it with them. I'll disseminate it in my own way. I'll be a happier soul than somebody rolling around with a fresh $1 million and don't have enough sense to actually buy a home, buy it and own it, buy some slippers, buy them pair of slippers and own the pair of slippers, buy a robe, buy a throne, sit down and take it easy, and then become Dr. Dre. You don't know what I'm talking about when I say Dr. Dre? You need to listen to the song The Watcher. So if I could do that and not have very much exertion at all, not much pull from society at all, if I stay true to myself. But if I seek public notoriety, then I'll always be too stretched, too thin to enjoy my hard work. Don't allow the world to stretch you out too thin. Be true to yourself. This is the end of the decade. This is 2020, and the decade is about to be over. In just a matter of days, this is the final countdown. We got 10 days left. This is the 22nd. The 31st will be the last day of the decade. How do you aspire to enter into the next decade? Still attempting to please people? Or would you like to do a little introspection, look inside yourself and realize that the work is already done? You're waiting on somebody to crown you. The man who said crown their ass, Denny Green, coach for the Cardinals, he's dead. So if you wait for somebody to crown you, you might die before that happens. The only reason that I didn't say a crown in terms of the God, king, and the queen is because I follow the culture. Bun B already told me I don't need a crown. He said his crown is a hat and it say free pimp C. Now what's messing with that? Hell to the chief. So Bun B just saved me a cool $10,000. I looked and saw how much a crown cost. It was $10,000. I wanted to get the crown. But as soon as I was about to drop that bread, Bun B's lyrics came to my mind. And I put my money back in my pocket and went to newera.com and just got me as many fitted hats as I want. Like, pay attention to the culture you live in. Don't try to mesh into what somebody else thinks, because your leaders are already saving you all kind of drama. I have a slate of fine, crispy, big boy hats, big boy caps, big boy fitteds. And they didn't cost no $10,000 neither. And if you ain't catch that tone on that neither, that was that Calvin Candy. Yeah, because Calvin Candy said he's going to get his 5 fights. All right. So if that's the game you want to play, if that's the role you want to play, you better understand there is going to be a Calvin Candy on the other end, no matter how many championships you roll in. If you don't ever pull the plug, if you don't ever take it easy and take a deep breath and sit on your throne and admire yourself, Calvin Candy's always going to be telling you, I know you went platinum 5 times, but shoot, I pay a joker for 10 albums, not 5 albums. So get back in there. Hit that studio. Okay, champ. Like LeBron James, he played and he won a championship in Cleveland, Ohio. But for some reason, because of Michael Jordan or whoever he's competing against, Bill Russell or public opinion, he's still playing basketball. Now, why in the world would he still be playing basketball when he won a championship for the Cleveland Cavaliers? It's over. There's nothing else to prove. Yeah, but legacy, comparing my career to somebody else's career, still got that man running sprints. He could have did like Michael Jordan if he wanted to play with his son. He could have quit for 7 years and just came back when Brun got in the league. But for some reason, he's still out there proving something that we already know. If he has the ball and he's going to the hole, get out of the way. How many times you got to see this movie? Speaking of movies, I saw one yesterday on my way to Juarez. Yeah, Juarez, Mexico. And I saw a guy get popped in the drug war. But I just stepped over his body and bought a throne. You know, I went to Juarez to buy me a throne because I said, if I'm going to talk about this, I better go and get me one. So I went to Juarez and bought me a throne. But on the way to Juarez, I was driving through Texas. And as I was riding through Texas, I saw a young man. And I saw a young man on the side of the highway. And he had flip-flops on. He had a tank top on, you know, some people call it a white beater, Lawrence Fishburne special. And he was looking like, I can't believe these police have pulled me over. But you know what? Even though he had on slippers, he didn't have a robe on, so he didn't look like a king. He didn't look like a god. He looked like a sucker. He looked like what I see a lot of times, people going out unprepared for the enemy that awaits. You know, he was in no condition to resist, but he had a spirit of resistance. I could tell by what I saw on the highway, he had a spirit of resistance, but he didn't have any boots on. You know what I'm saying? He had flip-flops on. He thought this was America. He thought this was land of the free, home of the brave, but he had another thing coming when he got pulled over and got stripped of everything that he had. You know, I saw the people complaining as he got mistreated, but we haven't established our kingdoms. You know, God's established kingdoms. Obviously, kings and queens establish realms and kingdoms, but we're still out here swapping goods and services and trades with entities that we know that are not on our side. Why would I give another dollar to any type of merchandiser that doesn't support me? Go Hornets. I'm riding with the Hornets. If it doesn't have to be a black human being, but if a person shows me, like I said, go Subaru. You know, if a person shows me that they care about the community, I'll invest in them. But I hadn't seen any Versace turkey drives going on during Thanksgiving. So why would I drop $1,500 on a Versace shirt? They ain't giving out no turkeys. But you know who's and Versace is not lining my pockets with a little cash when these people come and knock on my door asking for $25 and $40 on a whim. All right? So let's just be a little bit more mindful of who we are and what we represent and who we support. Last thing for the day, because I'm colder than Jay-Z. You need to know that. I'm very elated about Tarantino News, and I know the tone that the title of the show indicates, that I'd be up here talking like Samuel L. Jackson, which that's my whole hope, is to just let my tongue go and be like Bernie Mac. But hey, I hadn't gotten that release in my spirit yet, so we just be patient about that. But Tarantino News is here to stay. So please understand the disdain, no matter how my voice comes across, how jolly you may think I am. It's called Tarantino News for a reason, because you can get cussed out and straightened out real quick. But as I digress about Jay-Z, Jay-Z said, maybe you'll love me when I fade to black. And I'm against that completely. I told us about the white horse and the black horse. The black horse always has to stay behind. The white horse always has to be in the lead. If the black horse ever gets in the front, and I'm talking about the negative energy that we are composed of, instead of the positive energy. The positive energy is going to represent white, the white horse. The negative energy will represent the black horse. But if the last thing we see of you is you fading to black and that darkness really taking you over, I don't want to follow you. If you pay attention to Tarantino News, when this thing goes off until we come back in the 23 and a half hours, I don't fade to black. I bright to white. That's how the producer sends us off. So stop fading to black and bright to white. Have a wonderful day.
D-Mark got that heel.
Got a stain on my soul, so much pain on my soul, trying to change on my soul, but I need to enter the gates, the pearly gates. Got a stain on my soul, so much pain on my soul, trying to change on my soul, but I need to enter the gates, the pearly gates.
It's hard out here and I ain't hear that through the grapevine. I'ma defend at all costs if a nigga try to take mine. You got me fucked up if you think I'm beefing FaceTime. You got me fucked up if you think I'm beefing FaceTime. It's no resolution when it comes to retribution. Niggas that keep talking need to stop booting. And maybe these guns will stop shooting. What if life had a chance to fucking stop losing? But you don't give no fuck. So why should we give a fuck? Why should you get respected, disrespected as fuck? Why should we keep fixing the shit that you keep messing up? I gotta watch you hood niggas that I let you call me, bro. Because you throw me in the cross or even jam me up. So I keep my crucifix. I ain't worried about Lucifer. My prayers gon' keep me up in the stairs and be looking up.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved the wretch like me. I once was born, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see.
D-Mark got that heel.
I can't help that I'm set in my ways, but I hate to get lost in these days. The whole outcome is trying to get paid. I love God to death, but this money I crave. I want it easy and fast, I ain't trying to slave. But before I go to my grave, that's a promise that I made my mama before she passed away. It ain't getting no easier, it's getting harder every goddamn day. And it's killing me on the inside. I'm feeling like my kind and I already pushed a nigga away. Before you hit 25, you catch a feeling okay. Gotta keep your nose clean and your open eyes, man. And parole the street parallel to the side game.
D-Mark got that heel.
Got a stain on my soul, so much pain on my soul, trying to change on my soul, but I gotta enter the gates, the pearly gates of my soul. Got a stain on my soul, so much pain on my soul, trying to change on my soul, but I gotta enter the gates, the pearly gates of my soul.